Hey guys, today's story is going to be the last part of the three-part story that I started back around the beginning of June. I will link both the first and second part in the description and in the YouTube cards at the top right. But without further ado, let's get into it. Hi, sorry for the late part. Life has been kind of crazy and has kept me away from the laptop for long periods of time. I finally have some time to write all of this out, so here it is. If you haven't read part 1, you can find it here, and the second post can be found here. After having our big feeling session with the group, we had decided to step away from the main campaign and switch to a new one. I had always wanted to try my hand at DMing, so I thought, why not? And created a homebrew world from the bottom up. I had gods, places, plants, everything. I put so many hours into this world, and I was super proud of it. The day of the first session finally came, and the newly formed party had to rescue the barkeep's son from a were-rat. They fought through tons of mutated rats and creatures, and managed to successfully rescue him. There were a few hiccups along the way, however, as Kyle played the edgelord rogue, sneaking off and getting all the loot for himself. The party managed to handle it pretty well, basically giving him a behave or we will kill you statement. After the end of the first session, I got some flack from Demi, who was playing a bounty hunter fighter, a Mandalorian. She said she didn't have fun because I basically ripped off the plot from Harry Potter. A werewolf kidnapping someone, and then others have to rescue the kid. I didn't exactly know how to respond, so I just went, okay. Nonetheless, everyone else seemed to enjoy themselves, and we would continue on for a few more sessions. Occasionally, the players would throw a jab at me, something along the lines of a,
well, this is stupid.
Or would critique the style of a home or something small. I just smiled and nodded, but since I'm a newer DM, what they said had hurt, and I would try and change things to better suit what they wanted. We played a few more sessions, and then one weekend I was out because I was sick. They decided to switch back to the Tal'Dorei campaign, where they decided to get involved with pit fighting. They first fought a rust monster, and then some weird water creature. I finally joined back in for the next session, where we fought a fire giant and some chimeras. Everyone was having fun, and there wasn't any tension. When we had beaten the final round, we were promised 20,000 gold. However, we ended up tying with the other competitors. There was a point system based on how many companions fell and were resurrected. We were given a choice by the MC Turtle. We could split half, fight each other for the pot, or double it by fighting an even more monstrous beast. As he said it, a blue portal opened up to signify that this was an option. Before our party could discuss it, Demi said,
I run into the portal.
Everyone was shocked, and chaos erupted. So I said, I'll run in after her to try and make sure she's safe. One by one, people started running in, until it's only Kane and Belle. Belle reaffirmed that she did not want to go in. We were all weak, have no spells, and in a general sense it was a bad idea. Kane then said, I'm gonna cast Enhance ability on myself, then throw her in the portal. Before Kane could roll, Belle just said, Fine, I'll go in after them. After which Kane finally jumped in. We were standing in the middle of an ancient white dragon's lair, and then we finally called the session. Demi immediately left, taking Kane and Kyle home. So it was only Belle, Meryl, Kate, David, who was the DM, and I. David said,
Look, I've got no idea what's going to happen. You all keep screwing around, so all I'm saying is that you guys need to prepare because I'm not holding any punches.
He then voiced his frustration with Demi, saying how he is annoyed with her that she keeps making new characters, and how she wants to just kill them off quickly. He also said how he wanted to shrink the group. So he was probably considering her. The thing about that, however, she was his daughter, which to me just was weird, signifying that he valued D&D over family. We went back to my campaign for a few months, and some weeks just wouldn't have any sessions because I would just be burnt out from 9+ hours of running a game. In the meantime, however, I created a group chat with all of our players to discuss about what to do in terms of surviving the fight. We were all realistic about it. Some of us would live and others would die, but I tried to figure out a way to minimize that. I came up with a strong plan: the bag of holding inside of a bag of holding, Meryl holding a bag of colding, and Kate controlled the party fund via a bag of holding. I threw out the idea of one of us just doing that, taking the player and the dragon to the astral plane. I even offered myself up, because I made the plan and I knew everyone really liked their characters. They all disagreed with it, Belle calling my plan stupid and saying we should fight to the death instead of chicken out. But between all of us, we only had about 4 spell slots left, and we couldn't settle on a plan. So we decided to just go in and figure it out as it happened. When we finally had the session, and we started off in a safe place, I said, "Should we do my plan right now?" And everyone agreed. So I turned to the DM and said, "I'll put the bag of holding inside the bag of colding." He looked at me, smirked, and said,
"Nothing happens."
We were all shocked and confused. That should have worked. Out of game, he tells us that he saw the text convo on one of our phones. So he decided to make sure we couldn't chicken out. I was annoyed and said, "Well, isn't that basically metagaming on the DM's part then?" And he responded saying,
"Well, yeah, but I'm the DM."
We ended up fighting the ancient white dragon. Both Kane and Meryl died. Meryl's character committing suicide, and Kane valiantly fighting till the end. The clerics managed to do a lot with their limited spells, but Belle ran away and would cast a cantrip at long range while Kane and I were getting pummeled by the dragon. It got so bad that I had to say, "You said you still have spell slots and wild shapes left. Could you please help us fight this thing?" In the end, we managed to defeat it, and everything worked out well. However, we discovered that we were now trapped in the elemental plane of ice. Why? I don't know, and it was never explained. The DM ended the session there, saying he had no clue how to progress the story, so he needed a bit of time. I would then have to run sessions. Luckily, coronavirus hit before we had another session. We were all quarantined, unable to go play D&D. Everyone was complaining about it, saying that they were just going to go out anyway because,
"Screw it, D&D is more fun than being healthy."
I offered to run online games, as I was excited to start DMing online for another small group I met via D&D Beyond's forums. They all said that online was boring and it sucked. So they were going to risk it. I have a compromised immune system, so I told them I wouldn't be able to run, and I would stay home. A few weeks later, Meryl announced that she was going to give her hand at DMing a small mini-campaign. We were all very excited, so I decided to play a friendly human wizard with a small pug familiar. I had never played a wizard fully before, so I was excited. When we finally got to the session day, they all met up in person, and I was online. The session was not fun at all. I know Meryl is a newer DM and all, but nothing made sense and everything felt hurried. We had to do a dungeon crawl, and she asked if we had any preparations before we enter. I said, "I'm gonna cast mage armor," and then went to mark off a spell slot, but I realized I didn't have it prepared, so I said, "Crap, I'm sorry, never mind, I can't cast it." And we continued on. Later on, Meryl had asked me if we had casted any spells yet. And I said I hadn't, to which Kane jumped in saying, No, you casted mage armor. I told him that I couldn't cast it because I didn't have the spell prepared, and I heard him mutter under his breath, Okay, you cheater. We continued on, and encountered a room with these walls we had to scale, and make a check for doing so. I struggled, being a weak wizard, but made my way up. It took the rest of the group some time, but they eventually managed to come up as well. Later on, my character found a potion of climbing, and the rest of the party saw me have it in my hand. Before I could say, Hey, look at what I found, Bell's character comes up and says, You gonna share that with the rest of the party? To which I responded, Actually, I was wondering if I could hold on to it. I've got the lowest strength here, so climbing is going to be super difficult for me. She just scoffed and walked away, so I just shrugged my shoulders. We continued on and found a rickety bridge, only strong enough to be able to hold one person at a time, and at the end was a lever. I didn't hear most of the description, only that there was a bridge and a lever, because their internet connection was bad and kept cutting in and out. I asked the party if I should send my familiar to go and turn it, and then asked the DM. As soon as I said, Yeah, he crosses the bridge, everyone started shouting at me, specifically Demi shouting,
Torson, stop making everything about you, you attention whore.
As I heard that, I just shut down. I quietly apologized and said I couldn't hear, and just zoned out for the rest of the session. After, I texted Meryl on Discord one-on-one saying, Hey, I think I'm not having fun with playing a wizard. Could I just switch my class to druid instead? It would fit thematically too. Nothing wrong with how you run things, just wasn't having fun with my class. She responded saying that I could definitely play a druid. I was excited. I had played a druid one other time before, and it was at a lower level. So now I could play a higher level one. Amidst all the negative drama that happened before, I went to bed somewhat satisfied because I knew something was being changed. I didn't receive a text until 3 days later, while I was taking one of my finals online. Meryl texted me saying,
It has come to my attention that some players are uncomfortable playing with you at the table because of how you play and how you acted in and out of character. That's not something I really want at my table. I am removing you from my campaign.
Her exact words. And I was, for the most part, shocked. I had never intentionally been rude in or out of character before, besides calling some people out on being rude to me. So I was shocked. I apologized, telling her I was extremely sorry, and asked what I did wrong so I know in the future. I never got a clear answer. But as I kept asking, she said that she personally didn't like me, and doesn't want to DM for me, and then gave me a cordial goodbye. I was extremely upset, so I talked to Kate, who was someone I had grown close to as we played D&D. I asked her if she knew anything, and she told me that a vote was taken after the session to ask if they wanted me kicked out of the group. I texted David a few hours later, telling him what had happened and explaining that I wouldn't be coming back for our Tal'Dorei game, or even running my own sessions. He actually asked me if I could still run games for him, and that D&D is about gaming with people you respect and appreciate, and that nobody in that group respected me when crap hit the fan. I was upset for a few days and eventually talked with my therapist about it. I told her how I was planning on writing this year, just getting it out into the world. She told me that that was actually a good idea, so here I am. I hope that everyone who reads this story has more self-respect. That you guys don't stay in groups that you're being crapped on in, because that's not what D&D is about. Dungeons & Dragons is a collaborative storytelling game, and everyone who sits around that table should at least respect one another. This game isn't about hate and inter-party conflict. It's how we, as characters, can push past these conflicts by working together. Thank you all for reading, stay safe during these times, and roll many natural 20s. Well guys, always remember, no D&D is better than bad D&D. But in any case, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have a story that you'd like me to narrate, let me know. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.